All right, welcome back to InsideFlix. It's time for our weekly box office report, where we bring you up to speed on the latest box office numbers. Let's jump right in. Rich, could you share with us the top 5 movies that made a splash at the box office over the weekend?
Well, this Mother's Day weekend, the number 1 film in America is once again Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with $62 million. Coming in number 2 is the Super Mario Brothers movie with $12.6 million. Number 3 is Book Club, The Next Chapter with $6.6 million. Number 4 is Evil Dead Rise with $3.7 million. Rounding out the top 5 is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, with $2.5 million.
So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had an impressive hold during its second week in theaters, experiencing only a 49% drop. And
actually, it's even less. It's 47.6.
Wow. So this is considered one of the best second week holds of an MCU film. And so the movie has also grossed over $530 million globally and has already surpassed the total box office earnings of Quantumania. Let me hear your thoughts.
I'm really happy with this number. This is kind of what we were hoping, because we the three of us were kind of slightly underwhelmed with the opening, and we were really hoping that the movie would have strong legs and have a strong second weekend hold, because we really enjoyed the movie. And yeah, I don't think we could have hoped for anything better than this, because this is the third best MCU second weekend drop, right after Black Panther and I think Endgame or something like that. So I mean, this is great, especially since there's this kind of superhero fatigue happening lately. So this is good.
And with that worldwide balance of so far it's over 530 million, I think it has no problem reaching 800. Which is basically the standard goal for any movie right now, 800. Of course, you want to reach the billion, but
I think it's actually at this point it's probably going to easily going to be the most successful of the Guardians movies.
Yes, if it reaches that goal, I think it'll match to the last two for sure. Yeah,
I think it's going to hit $1 billion. I think this is Chris Pratt's year. He's unstoppable, right? With Mario and Guardians.
Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah, like you were saying, I think the Guardians 3 had a respectable, albeit a lower than expected opening weekend. But I think with this number, it really proves that this movie's getting strong word of mouth. Fans are showing their support, and it really seems like
they're going again. They're going again.
It seems like they're returning to watch this movie multiple times. And I gotta say, we saw the movie, and I think it's an extremely rewatchable movie. And so I'm predicting another strong hold for its third week.
Yeah, and I've seen it 3 times already.
So let me ask you this. If Guardians 3 does end up becoming one of the biggest box office hits of the summer, does that credit goes to Marvel or does it go to James Gunn?
Oh, James Gunn.
Marvel deserves credit for like everything bad that's been happening with Marvel lately, But I don't think it's necessarily like James Gunn's name. I think it's because like the work James Gunn did to make the audience love these characters. So I don't think this necessarily means that automatically James Gunn's DC films are going to be like $1 billion movies. I think he has to kind of he has to win people over with those.
Right.
It'll be a process.
Yeah, and we've been hearing these stories about how James Gunn has been kind of behind the scenes producing a lot of those big Marvel movies at the end.
I was seeing that. I was kind of surprised by that. I was reading that I think he said in an interview that he was overseeing every single Marvel screenplay that came in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy because it's just interesting that how bad some of the Marvel movies have gone since he stopped overseeing these movies.
All right, now let's talk about Super Mario Brothers. It has another kind of respectable hold here with only a 32% drop. But it is coming out on premium VOD this week. So I'm expecting that's going to maybe hurt the box office this coming up weekend.
You would expect so, but you never know with these children's based films. I mean, how long they last in theaters, but it'll be a success on VOD anyway.
I don't think VOD is going to necessarily hurt Mario too much. I think, like Richard was saying, it's going to be a huge success on VOD. It's going to be #1 on iTunes and Amazon and all that. But I also think, kids are still going to want to see this in theaters, and I think families are going to go see it. And while there are other options and stuff like, like Guardians and stuff like that, we have also talked about how Guardians kind of is a little dark and features animal cruelty. There's none of that in Mario. You take the smallest children to, and I think it's still gonna be around the top 5 for a while.
Raymond, you got to talk about your favorite movie, Book Club. You were expecting big things about this movie.
I was expecting Book Club to come in at number 3, and I was expecting it to have single digits. But I think Universal and Focus were probably hoping that this would, make about 10 to 13 million like the first Book Club. But, unfortunately for them, the word of mouth on this movie is pretty bad. And it seems like the people that loved the first Book Club are very disappointed with this installment. So I wouldn't be surprised if that affected it also. And also, the marketing for this new Book Club just wasn't as strong as the marketing for the last one. So I think all of that kind of played into this, but it still did well enough to come in at number 3. And I don't care about this franchise. Mike's just making a joke.
Yeah. Rich, let's talk about the rest of the top 10.
Opening at number 6 is Hypnotic. Number 7 is John Wick Chapter 4. Number 8 is Love Again. Number 9 is Air. Number 10 is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
Yeah, so we got to talk about the extremely disappointing box office performance of Hypnotic. This is the latest crime thriller from director Robert Rodriguez. It also stars Ben Affleck, and boy, this did not pan out for them.
Well, I don't know how much Ben Affleck would have promoted it if the talk shows were still active nowadays because of the strike. If he would have, attended any talk shows to promote it itself.
No.
But Robert
Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez did whatever he could.
Did he?
Yeah, he did do some promotions,
it was so
online
strange.
promotions.
Yeah, it was strange. He kind of invited some like TikTokers to his studio, and like really a selected group of YouTubers and TikTokers, and that didn't necessarily pan out for them too. I mean, I don't know. It's fascinating to kind of reflect on Robert Rodriguez and his career at this point because considering that he really had this potential in the 90s, and to me, I would have thought that he at this point would have ruled Hollywood. And I just don't know what he could do at this moment. I mean, it really, I don't know. Rich, you tell me about what Robert Rodriguez could do right now.
Well, I was really excited when he first purchased that studio out in Texas, along with Richard Linklater and who was the third one? Oh, Mike Judge, right?
Yeah.
I was really excited for his future once they purchased it, but it turned out it was just for Spy Kids and stuff like that. I mean, it seems like it's just
it's wasted a little bit.
I'm sure he shot a lot of Alita Battle Angel on that, but still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. But here's the one thing you can say about Robert Rodriguez. So he's still a competent filmmaker. He's not a bad director. It's just the projects he's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then he just started, putting family members in movies, and I don't know, he kind of became like the Kevin Smith of action.
Well, I mean, I think yes, that's true, but I think that he's always been like very family friendly and
no, but to a degree though. I mean, he took it too far.
Because the whole thing is he's not part of the DGA or whatever, so that's one of the big problems too, because he gets passed upon from other projects from studio projects.
I don't know. It's so funny because he had this potential, and I guess I always thought that his filmography will be filled with genre classics at this point, but it really seems that those expectations haven't really quite materialized. And I think
kind of stopped with Sin City as the last.
Yeah, kind of.
Really,
and I think you're right. You're right, Raymond. Like I think this other side of him where he makes these kid movies, Spy Kids, they're fun kid movies.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah,
Were Heroes or. We Must Be Heroes. What was it called?
We Could Be Heroes, I think it was called. And
horrible title.
I think that might be his legacy now. I think that's what he's going to be famous for. These kind of really fun kid movies.
And it's weird because now like a lot of the people that are like reviewing movies, they grew up with Spy Kids and stuff. And it's like now like the movies we love, like From Dusk Till Dawn and stuff, it's something from the past.
All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at the upcoming weekend. Rich, could you please fill us in the exciting movies that are set to hit theaters this Friday?
You mean the one exciting movie?
Okay.
There's only one film. It's Fast X. This, of course, is the latest chapter in the popular Fast and Furious action film series, and this time it's Vin Diesel versus Jason Momoa. This is supposedly the first film of a two-part finale, though rumor has it that a third film might be percolating.
All right, so Fast X, I think at this moment it's really experienced some disappointing tracking results. I think the projections have been lower than expected. I don't know, because some reports are saying that it might score 130 million opening. Then there's other sources saying that it's going to be much lower than that, something around 70 million or 80 million. I think Fast 9 made almost 90 million opening weekend.
But that was during the middle of the pandemic.
So yeah, that was during the pandemic. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on the projections? How big is this movie? Is it going to live up to the expectations?
I think the marketing in this film is phenomenal. I really enjoy all the TV spots, and so far the movie doesn't look
half bad.
Half bad. Yeah, it looks like it's exactly what it's meant to be at. But I'm not sure of the runtime. I'm not sure. But I've heard about the spoiler that they already released.
Mm-hmm. I didn't
which was it. Well, don't go searching for it, because I think it really ruins the
surprise,
the fan appreciation. And but if the rumors are true that there's a third film, that's kind of exciting too. I mean, Vin Diesel has another Triple X.
Well, I think that's what people are pointing out. The leaks and these little rumors, and also they kind of released a final trailer this week, 4-minute long final trailer that kind of really just gives it all away. All this seems like an indication that they really kind of have a fear that the movie's going to come in low in the box office.
Well, Fate of the Furious opened to 98 million, and like you were saying, the last one opened to 70 million. So I think if the movie can come in at 90 to 100, that's good. I think what more can you ask than outgrossing the last two movies, especially since Fate of the Furious didn't come out during the pandemic.
I kind of like what Jason Momoa is doing in the clips I've seen. I haven't seen the movie, but Jason Momoa is really eating up scenery here, and so and it really seems like these movies are all kind of focused on the villain. They're the funnest part. Vin Diesel's doing Vin Diesel. He's always going to be the Vin Diesel in these movies. It's the villains that are really this big surprise, and I think what Jason Momoa is doing is kind of infectious. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to live up to the expectations. I think it is going to come down a little bit lower. I think it's going to be a lot lower than people expect. But that being said, I think this movie is really a international movie. I think it's going to do well, extremely well around the world.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It should be. It should also be noted that a lot of the Fast and the Furious movies have been kind of declining in America, but the international numbers seem to be going up each time.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why Universal keeps greenlighting these sequels, because it's that fan base around the world. Let's talk about limited release. Rich, what movies are coming out in limited release this week?
Coming out in limited is Master Gardener. This is the latest character-driven thriller from acclaimed filmmaker Paul Schrader, and it stars Joel Edgerton as an expert gardener whose troubled past is dredged up when taking on a new young apprentice, played here by Black Adam's Quintessa Swindell. Also coming out in limited release is Robots. This is a new science fiction tinged dark comedy that stars Shailene Woodley and British comedian Jack Whitehall as two entitled jerks who discover their robot clones have not only fallen in love with one another, but also have run away together. This hails from Danish comedian Casper Christensen of Clown fame and Borat writer Anthony Hines. Also coming out in limited release, Buddy Game Spring Awakening. This is a buddy comedy sequel to Josh Duhamel's 2020 directorial debut about a group of lifelong friends who engage in a challenging set of dares and games. This time it's set during spring break. And finally coming out in limited release is Sanctuary. This is a new provocative, twisted comedy that stars Margaret Qualley as a professional dominatrix who engages in a power struggle with her soon-to-be ex-client, played by Christopher Abbott.
Okay, let's talk about streaming. Rich, if people want to stay home, there's got to be some movies.
Coming out in streaming is White Man Can't Jump, and you'll be able to find this on Hulu. This is the modern-day remake of the 1992 street basketball comedy. This stars rapper Jack Harlow, who makes his acting debut, and actor Sinqua Walls. Also coming out in streaming is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This will be available on Disney Plus on May 17th. Making its streaming debut, it's the first film in Marvel's Phase 5, featuring the supervillain Kang the Conqueror. And finally coming out in streaming is Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves on Paramount Plus.
Ray, tell me a little bit about White Man Can't Jump. Is this exciting? You got rapper Jack Harlow. He's making his acting debut. Is this something that you wanted to check out, or this is totally skip this?
Well, I'll probably watch the first 20 minutes just because it's on Hulu. But oh man, I think this thing's gonna be horrible. Yeah, it's written by Kenya Barris. I don't have a lot of faith in Kenya Barris doing remakes and adaptions and sequels
Or
to
doing
like,
comedy,
you know.
really.
There are certain things I can trust
Well, after
Kenya
you, after
with.
you people, I mean, I think yeah, he's
Oh, I
he's on
forgot
a
about you.
he's on a decline. I think he's on a decline.
Oh, he's been on a decline.
Yeah.
But I think there are still certain things that Kenya can do.
Mhm.
I don't think this is one of them. And I think the fact that you have the director of the recent House Party remake does not help things.
Mhm.
And the fact that I really do not like Jack Harlow as a rapper also doesn't help things. But you got Lance Reddick in there, one of his final film
That's
roles.
true. That's
Yeah.
true.
You know, I love the original White Men Can't Jump. It's one of those movies where I don't really see the point in remaking it, but because they are remaking it, I guess I'm just curious to see if it's at least watchable. So I'll check out the first 20 minutes and probably shut it off after.
Are you going to watch the Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania?
I watched that once in theaters, and I think that was enough.
No, but this is the Disney Plus version, so it's got to be that IMAX enhanced one, right?
Screw that.
All right, that's about it for this episode of Inside Flicks. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back next week. We'll see how well Fast X does in the box office. So we'll come back and we'll talk about the new movies coming out next week. All right, bye-bye, everyone.